Live yet?
And
Can you tell
we're
us when we're live?
live. I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Good.
Ooh, we are.
We are live. Welcome to Waking Up with Nana and PepPep. I am
Howdy.
Aroogs from the internets, and this is my wonderful co-host Sean, aka PepPep, or the producer. Pick one.
I have
We
many
come.
names.
We are a pair of many names. Hi,
We
Kagome.
are. Hey, good go, mate.
Hey, we were just talking about you last night.
Mm-hmm. All good stuff. All good stuff.
All good stuff. We were talking about you last
Mm-hmm.
night. Well, hi, Bear.
Hey,
Um,
Bear.
so welcome to Waking Up with Nana and PepPep, where Sean and I discuss where our bringing in the Southern Baptist Church and sort of our deconstruction of our faith and our reconstruction of being decent human beings and healing our traumas. So, you know what time
You're
it
trying
is.
hard to be decent human beings.
Oh, we're trying. It's not working. Okay, so it was all good things, Kagome. Because we
Oh,
love
yeah.
you like a lot. You're one of our faves. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know what time it is? It's disclaimer time. Here on Waking Up with Nana and PepPep, we support all faiths. This is not a show where we are bashing anyone's faith or belief system. However, we support and encourage all faith and belief systems when done in a mentally and emotionally healthy way. We are not healthcare professionals. We are not therapists or counselors. This is just our experiences and how we have dealt with working through our processes of dealing with our traumas. If you do need professional help, please contact us because we do have some resources to get you the help that you need. And we also have a charity called Fight Against the Sadness, where any merchandise that you buy, some of the proceeds go to Mental Health America. So please don't feel like you're alone. Reach out to us. We can get you the help that you need. And yeah, did I miss anything?
I think you about covered it.
I think I got it.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think you got it.
I'm getting
All
a
right.
little more concise on that. So,
You
what are we
are.
doing today,
Yes.
Sean?
Oh, what are we doing today? Ooh, we are covering a topic that just about everyone I know has experienced this at some point in their life, whether it is in dealing with religious trauma or dealing with just trauma in general.
I'm struggling today.
We,
I'm on the struggle bus. Choo choo. All right.
yeah, we're talking about all the things that we felt, all the ways in which we faked it until we made it. Some people call that the imposter syndrome. We're talking about faking it in terms of our upbringing, our childhood, our religious trauma, the things that we had to fake in order to
Exist.
survive,
Yeah.
exist. Yeah,
Survive.
exactly.
Exist. Yeah.
And there was a lot of
So.
them, right? Yeah.
A lot. A lot.
Ooh,
A lot doesn't
was
even
a lot.
begin to like, yeah, that
No.
is. So,
Yep.
I don't know about Sean, and the whole reason we were talking about this is that we were throwing back topics back and forth about what are we doing this week. I don't know. That's
Hmm.
usually our Thursday
That's what
conversation.
it's Thursday conversation.
It's literally our Thursday conversation. What are we doing? I don't know. Like, let's. So we were discussing a lot of the topics, and this one came up in just sort of the overarching. That's it. See, again, freaking not functioning day. Hi, babes.
You need more coffee.
I do.
Hey, babe.
So yes, so the overarching theme is, hey Calvino, is that a lot of these things that topics we were talking about just the need to pretend, the need to fake perfection, to fake all these things, deny and sort of avoid, and all of these things that we were taught, and how that permeated through our entire life and even into our, is it personality or is it trauma? Like it goes deep. It goes deep. So, I'm most usually a fake till you make it.
Yeah.
So we were actually discussing family. That's like what we were talking about, what started this whole conversation, because
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know about you, Sean, but I know it was very important in my household to, and I've seen actually a lot of TikTok videos where they have like the mom will like, when your mom smacks you upside the head in church when you're misbehaving, or like all of these things where you are expected to portray a certain persona and a certain
Mhm.
picture of what your family is and who you are as a person and who you are as a Christian and who you are as just
Yes.
in general, and it's this projection, and 9 times out of 10 that is not at all what you think, or not at all what's going on, not all the reality of things. And so
Mhm.
yeah.
What I remember the most, well, one of the things that I remember the most was, and this is a bit of a cliche, but it's because it happens so often. It's the morning of church. You're getting ready to go into church, which is, you're supposed to be, the whole idea of being in church tends to require perfection anyway. But what is the family like getting up to that point?
Mhm.
So is it a calm, peaceful, serene morning? No. Usually church morning is the worst morning ever for the entire week. It is worse than trying to get the kids up for school, worse than being gotten up for school. It was because you also had to dress up too. So it was the parents yelling, fussing, um, manipulating anything they could, threatening. I mean, there was far from perfection in
Mhm.
the mornings trying to get up for school. I mean, all the way in the car, just threats when we get home after church, when we get home. And then all of a sudden you pull into the church parking lot and there was this switch where all of a sudden none of that stuff that in the morning happened.
Mhm.
The entire family begins to, oh yeah, we're the perfect family. We're great, we're happy, yeah, we weren't just yelling and threatening the kids with corporal punishment 5 minutes ago.
Mhm.
Like, and so as a kid, you don't quite understand that. You don't understand that switching. As an adult, you're used to it. But as a kid, so you go from having this parent who was acting one way to all of a sudden they're acting completely different, almost like it never even happened.
Mhm.
And it's really hard to wrap your head around that. Especially when you're thinking, "Oh, okay, well maybe they're not mad at me. Maybe I'm not in trouble." Oh, no, no, you're still in trouble. Because when you got back in the car after church, the flip the switch again, and all of a sudden it was like nothing had changed.
Yeah, we were the same way, and again, like we were friends with the pastor's family, and my mom
Mhm.
sang in the choir, and
Mhm.
yeah, so I ran with the trouble crowd in church, and my mom was
You were
not
a
gonna have.
troublemaker?
I know.
What?
The
What?
the biggest thing that they teach you is that everyone's a sinner.
Mhm.
Everyone's a sinner, but you're not allowed to be a sinner. And I think that
Right?
that was the hard, because you were never allowed to make mistakes. And we've talked about this before,
Mhm.
the perfectionism that it was
Yes.
put upon us, is that we were not allowed to make mistakes. So like we weren't allowed to show that we had weaknesses. We weren't allowed to talk about our traumas. We weren't allowed to
Mhm.
talk about our struggles. We weren't allowed
Mhm.
to. And the only time we were allowed to talk about our struggles is if it moved forward the narrative of whatever Bible teaching we were doing or whatever
Yes.
sharing was involved. So it made you look more pious and holy
Yes.
and perfect
Mhm.
because you were overcoming these struggles by the grace of God and all that is holy. And like, but that's not it.
Yes.
That's not it.
Mm-mm. No.
No.
Mm-mm.
So here I am, a worthless sinner who's forgiven by the grace of God, but God forbid if I make any type of mistake. So it's one of
Mhm.
those, I don't know.
And it's especially bad for PKs. and children of church leaders. PKs is always the worst. Because it's funny. You're right. They talk about, well, no one's perfect. Only Jesus is perfect. No one is perfect. But but when you make a mistake, it's like a pack of wolves. It's like vultures. They just are picking you apart,
Mhm.
and not to your face, of course. But gotta dish the tea.
So yes, like the PKs, like our pastor's kids, like I told you, the youngest
Mhm.
daughter was the same age as I am, and then their son was older than us a few years. The son did what PKs do. He did drugs, he drank, he
Mhm.
smoked, he was all these things. He was like, they got in confrontations, but he was expected to show up at church and play the part, even though we
Yep.
knew all the stuff that was going behind the scenes. And it was just, you were trained to learn how to smile and pretend,
Yes. Put on the face.
put
Look a
on
certain
the
way.
face.
Act a certain
Yeah.
way. Everything was
Mm-hmm.
great. Yeah. How's it going? It's wonderful. God bless me with another wonderful day. And it wasn't the truth.
Mm-mm.
Um.
Well, Bates,
Yeah.
welcome. This is a safe space. You can listen to us talking about our traumas.
Yep.
uh, we
We're your
love
emotional
you.
support,
We
Nana and
are.
Peppa.
We are. Welcome to Nana and PepPep's house. Sean, I'll
Yes.
give you some candies. He's always
I got some candies. I got some
got
candies.
some. I smoked and everyone knew, underage and on birth control. Yeah, like okay, here I it was so bad. Like my parents went through their divorce when I was about 9 or 10. And it was rough. It was rough for me, and I was put right in the middle of it. And I remember my mother livid with me. You are going to say this. You are not going to say that. You are going to act this way, and you are going to pull it together. And you are going to know whatever happens. I will
Mhm.
never forget the phrase, whatever happens in this house and with this family is nobody's business but ours. And you are to act like everything is fine. I was
Yeah.
10. I was 10.
Mhm.
So go to church, look all pretty.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Knowing and it's that dichotomy, the cognitive dissonance. Knowing that you're behaving that way, knowing that you're living two lives pretty much, and you're forced to, because you make the family look bad. Mm-mm, that was not acceptable,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to leaders in the church. Because my dad was like one of the head deacons, and so I that's where I got a
Of
lot of it.
course he was.
Yes,
Of
of course
course.
he
That explains
was.
a lot. Do go on, do tell.
My
Explain.
dad was a head deacon, and my mom wasn't. My mom didn't have a position because women don't have positions in the church, but she was involved in a lot of things. Yeah, she was involved in a lot of things, and the churches we were in, like we had been in those churches for many years, so we were established in those churches. Yeah, so you did not reflect. If you did something bad, oh no, there was hell to pay for that. You did not make the family look bad. You did not make the leaders look bad. You don't do anything to bring any shame upon them. And you're like, so you don't so you pretty much had to fall in line. You had to fake it. You had to act the part.
Okay.
And
So I'm thinking, so we're talking about acting
yeah,
the part. Okay. So we are
yes.
both very Southern. We were raised
Oh
very Southern
yes.
Baptist. We were
Yes.
raised in the Southern Baptist
Mhm.
church. So you're talking
Mhm.
dressing up for church. Did you ever get
Yes.
sent back to your room to change because what
Yeah,
you
of
were wearing,
course.
even though it was like, it's a shirt
Yes.
and whatever? Like, no, like,
Mhm.
no,
Mhm.
you go back and change right now.
Yes. Yes. Yep. But yeah, it had to be button down shirt and khakis. Mhm. That's
I
that.
couldn't
But
wear high
yeah.
heels. I wore high heels
Oh, well,
one
those are the devil's heels.
time.
Those are the horse
I know,
heels.
apparently, I was not allowed like, no more than, like, a 2-inch heel, and that was, like I
So
had s
so what does your shoe collection look like now? Is that did you maintain that throughout? Oh, I'm sorry.
um, but also okay, so speaking of, like, pretending and faking it till you make it or whatever,
Mhm.
so when my grandmother passed, I decided to wear and she passed in November, so it was, fall. I
Mhm.
wore a white turtleneck and a like a green colored skirt to her funeral.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
I was looking nice.
Mhm.
I thought I looked nice. I was like 12. I was 12 or 13. I
Oh,
thought,
mhm.
I look pretty, right?
Mhm.
I
Oh, you
caught
no.
so much hell when I got back because I should have worn a black dress, a black dress
Yes. Black
with
dress. Mhm.
pearls because,
Pearls.
you
The
have to
pearls! Oh
have the
my
black
god!
dress and the pearls. The pearl, you're not allowed to go
Pearls.
to any funeral
Well,
without the pearls. Like I
because
had
how do you clutch your pearls if you don't have pearls, right?
I had
You
pearls from
can't
a very
clutch.
young age. It was like one of my first necnecklaces. Like that's how southern I
Tell
was.
me
Like
tell me you're Southern without telling me you're
telling me you're
Southern.
southern.
Pearl clutch.
But that was the thing is and nowadays
Mhm.
I can't go like it's a struggle for me to go to a funeral and not dressed in the uniform. Like did you have a
The
uniform? Like that was
uniform.
like what it was.
Yes,
Like I
it
could be hoeing it
was.
up on Saturday night like with my friends,
Mhm.
Friday and Saturday night and
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
slutting it up. And on Sunday,
Mhm.
I was wearing the uniform. And that's the lie that we were just told that we had to keep up. No matter what you did, just don't get
Yes.
freaking caught. But you always had the
Yes.
church biddy who was always looking out for you. You did in your like apparently I
Oh my
made him
god.
stumble. I didn't know. And we wouldn't say we
Yep.
flirted, but he was very much into me when I was 16.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
You weren't.
Yeah, like it was your fault. Like Bates, it's you were female. It was
Yeah.
always your fault. It was never the fact that
Mhm.
this youth pastor who was probably in his like mid to late 20s, if not older, was leching or grooming or being inappropriate with an underage female. Let's not talk about that. The wife is mad at you, not at like that. That's the
Yeah.
adage. All
Youth youth
yeah, in your 30s,
pastors.
yeah. He was a grooming pedophile
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
not gonna even go. Okay.
That is a very common thing. Youth pastors, because of their age, tend to get in a lot of trouble. Now it's whether they are does the position get them into trouble, or are they already looking to get into trouble and that's why they took the position?
Oh yeah, Kagome. Yeah. It was always everybody's dirt was out there. But no
Mhm.
everybody's dirt was always
No one
out
to
there, but
Mhm.
nobody talked about it.
No.
And
Yeah,
so it was like
absolutely
there's
not.
these two different this is where you learn to be passive aggressive. This is learned to where
Yes.
you learn where we I know about you. You're very much passive aggressive. I've seen you do it like where
Oh,
you are
you've seen me do it
saying
all the time recently.
saying
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, about that.
I'm
So
sorry, I don't mean
where you're
sorry.
saying one thing so that if somebody hears
Yeah,
you, you can
yeah.
claim something
Yes.
else
You
but they know exactly so there's this whole
the
two
people who if you know, you know. That's what it was.
right.
If you know, you know. You learn to dish the tea without it being obvious that you were dishing the tea. Yes. I developed a huge word play, word adjustment, word finagling, word usage became like an art to me, which caused problems when it came time to be, open and honest about things and speak directly. It's really hard when you get so accustomed to
See, here's my
Verbal.
favorite though, folks. Here's my favorite to that. He is so used to the wordplay and twisting the
Hmm.
words, but he married somebody not as smart as him, and he dated not as smart as him. So when he's talking to me, and I literally go, "No, fucker, no," and he's like, "What?" I was like, "I
Yeah.
know
The
exactly
rubes,
what you mean. Shut your mouth. Turn around."
the rubes will call me out for that junk. Yeah, I don't get away with it
He
with the
got
rubes.
so mad
Doesn't
the first
happen.
couple of times I did that. I was like, "Try
Right.
again."
Because then, of course, I'm denying it. No, no, no. And she's like, mm-hmm. And then I get stares and rubes. Yeah, it's like stares and Black Jesus, but it's rubes. Yeah, I'm gonna cover that up for a moment. I just can't. I can't. I'm
Well,
getting.
he forgets that I'm
That's triggering.
intelligent and have the same background, so I know all the tricks of the game. But
She does, and she's better at them. That's part of the problem.
I was a woman. I had to.
Yeah,
I had a lot more navigation. Sean too smart for his own
right.
good. Yup. Or he
That is no,
thinks he
actually,
is.
that's a very valid statement. My problem is that I'm smart. I am highly intelligent, and I use words. I've learned to use words in a way that I shouldn't, in a very
Speaking of
deceptive
smart
way.
and
Yeah.
pretending that things, I was
Oh God,
trained. I
where's this
had to
going?
not be smart. Speaking of
Oh
pretending not
yes.
to be who you are, I was.
Hmm.
I again, wonderful family and religious trauma. My mother taught me, she's like,
Hand in
you
hand. It's like a
are
marriage.
so I remember being I had just gotten out of my last engagement, before my husband. Like I had just gotten out of
Hmm.
that. And I remember having a discussion with my mom, nothing ever, these relationships. And she was all like, "You're a serial dater." And I was like, I was in my early mid to mid 20s. And I was like, "I just can't find the right guy." And she goes, "You're too aggressive and you're too smart. Men don't like that. So what you need to do," she's like, "You know better." She goes, "It's okay to play Southern stupid." I
Wait, who said
couldn't,
this?
my mother.
Oh,
So
of course. Okay, of course.
okay.
Yes.
So I was never, even in church, I was never allowed to be smart. So I
Hmm.
learned as a coping and adapting because I'm incredibly intelligent. I have test scores to prove it. Just like
You've been
Sheldon Cooper,
tested.
I've been tested.
I've been
So,
tested. Hmm.
because I was so incredibly intelligent, even growing up at a young age, I learned how to adapt, and I learned to adapt to say the right things to not seem as smart. I say the right things so that I never looked like I was trying to overpower the situation, or I was trying to never be as smart as you are. Always play dumber, always be
You can't.
pretty and not
Hmm.
smart.
Well,
That's how you get a
it's
good
your
man.
responsibility not to. It's your responsibility to not make the person you're with feel dumb or to feel not as good, not as impressive as they are, not as strong as you are, not as whatever. It's your job, your responsibility to make sure that they don't feel emasculated by your assertiveness.
I learned to be a
And
really good cheerleader. Like a really good, happy cheerleader. Learned how to
mm,
put on the face. I You're so smart. Yeah, okay, well, I know that sounds really good. Like the tone. I learned how to put on the tone and the smile and the body, like the entire time I'm screaming, "You
mhm.
are a dumbass motherfucker. What the fuck? I can do it myself."
Did you
Like
wait? Did you not only do that, but you also led them to the idea without them realizing you led them to the idea?
oh,
Like
piece of
they're
candy.
all
Oh,
excited
piece of
because they
candy.
figured
Oh,
something
piece of
out.
candy. Oh,
Yes,
piece of candy. Oh, piece of candy.
they're all excited because they figured something out, not realizing that you pretty much handed it to them. But
That
you
sounds
felt
like
you
such a
had
great
to let them.
idea. You're so
Oh
smart.
wow! Oh my god, that's make
I'm so lucky
God. That's
God gave
awful.
you to me. That was the worst part about being me. Well, there's a lot of things, but that was the biggest one that I
Mhm.
that being in the church and being my upbringing is being a Southern woman. I couldn't be too pretty, too smart, too any of this.
Mhm.
So I had
Mhm.
to learn that surface level. I had to make the veneer very shiny and
Mhm.
simple when everything
Mhm.
underneath was complex and broken and just turbulent. But on the surface, my expressions, my wording, my everything had to be shiny and smooth and simple.
Mhm.
Everything about me. And I had to play that most of
Mhm.
my life. Like I had to play uncomplicated and simple. And I'm a good cook. That's my one of my redeeming qualities. Instead of I can fucking sit here and can like
Make a
configure.
holiday meal by yourself, pretty much.
It's like it's
Yeah.
I had to pretend.
If you ever have to
Yes.
minimize yourself for someone else, that's a massive red flag.
But that's something they teach you in the church. As
It
a
is absolutely
female,
as a
as a
female. Yeah.
female,
Mhm.
God wants us to be subservient and obedient. And those are the
Mhm.
words, subservient and obedient and and it was
Support.
God,
You want support.
husband,
You are support.
wife,
Yes.
kids. That's how that was
Mhm.
the order and that's how you were raised and that's how it needed to be and that's
Yes.
how I for the longest time lived my life. That whole wordplay thing you were talking
If
about, I learned how to pick
yeah.
my words and I learned how to pick them and say
Mhm.
them in a certain way. When really I wanted to say a whole bunch of different set of words.
Yes. Because if if the spouse, if the wife was too assertive, she wasn't assertive or strong-willed, she was mouthy. And the men, yeah, right, mhm. And then men felt, this is how we were raised, that if your spouse is this way, someone's going to come to you and go, I need to talk to you about your wife. She's just, yeah.
Those words are
And then it was
triggering
like
right now.
you're
Like I was like, oh.
and then it was the man's responsibility to talk to his wife and make sure that she understood what was appropriate and not appropriate.
I fucking hate appropriate. I fucking hate that word. I fucking and it was all
Right?
through my childhood. That's not
Mhm.
appropriate. We don't do that.
Mhm.
We don't do that in church.
We
Like that
don't
was
do
a
that.
phrase
Yes.
often said. We don't do that in church.
There's a lot of
Don't.
things that we don't do in church that we probably should be
I'm
doing.
trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying, Calvino. It's triggered me because that
Mhm.
is like that's literally what they would say. I need to talk to you about
Yeah.
your wife.
Yes.
Or I need to
Mhm.
talk to you about your daughter.
Yes. Mhm.
It was
Yep.
never the sons. It was never the husbands. It was never that. It was
Mm-mm.
always, I need to talk to you about your wife. We're
Yeah.
concerned is always the next one because that's
We're
how you lead
concerned.
off.
Yes. We're
It's never
concerned.
your wife is like causing trouble. It's we are just concerned, which again is fucking fake as shit because you're not fucking
We've been
concerned.
talking.
Yeah.
The ladies of the church, the leadership. It was triangulation. It's where they pull in other people to bolster their argument when in reality that's not actually existed. It's just them. Yeah. Because there
Okay.
were women. It didn't happen to me. That's one of the big differences between being a man and a woman, a young man and young woman in the Southern Baptist Church. But there were girls in the youth group that I kind of saw that happen with, and it was demoralizing. And yeah, and there was several of them. I didn't realize this then, but looking back at it now, like there's probably a reason that a lot of young women in the church left. Those families left. Yeah.
Oh, mine didn't. Mine doubled down.
Mm.
Mine doubled down.
Oh,
Um
yeah.
yeah, and a lot of that it was and I don't know how many times my parents got approached with we need to talk to you about Anna. Like,
Oh my
we're a
god.
little bit she has so much potential, and
Oh my.
she can be such a good, she's so
Woman of
energetic.
God.
She's so energetic and she's so
Energy.
personable, but I think that she really needs to insert whatever behavior they think that I wasn't doing at the time.
Dress differently, act differently, talk differently, whatever. Be different. She could be such a great person if she was just not herself. That's that's what they're saying.
And I did, and I was, because I learned. I was smart, and I learned how to live that double life. It was, that's, you learn to deny. And again, that whole, you're learning and you were trained to deny yourself,
Mhm.
so
Yes.
that, like, you were trained that this this is the way. Like that. And honestly, like, when the Mandalorian came up with that, like, this is the way, it sort of bothers me. And, like, I get it, it's great. And I, as a nerd, I'm like, ha, this is the way.
Mhm.
But I was really taught that in the church. And if you think
Mhm.
about it, like the Mandalorian, I'm going to go nerd parallel right here. Like, the Mandalorian is
Do
a
it. Do it,
religious
Rubes.
order. It is a
It
religious
is. Yes.
belief. And so you're not allowed to
Mhm.
take off your helmet. If you take off your helmet,
Mhm.
you're like, it's this whole thing. And and when questioned, they just go, this is the way. And that is very much
Mhm.
how we were raised in the church, or at least how I was raised. When I
Mhm.
was questioning, why should I act stupid? Well, they give me a couple Bible verses and go, this is just what God wants. This is what God wants of you. This is what is
Mhm.
expected of you. This is the way. This is the way we do things. And I never got a real reason or a real logical explanation. I just got, this is the way. This is the way it is.
Mhm.
And I, I learned and was trained over time to deny myself, deny my likes, who I am. And I learned how to tell me what you want from me, and I will be that person. Tell me what you expect of me, and
Mhm.
I will change into that. Tell me how it is supposed to go, and I will just become that. And in reality, that is so dangerous, because you're just sitting here and you are becoming codependent. You are taught that
Mhm.
anything that you are, I will be, because I want you to love me. And that's how we were
Yes.
trained. We were taught,
You have to earn
we were
it.
going to be this way. God was going to love us as long as we were this person that
Mhm.
God wants us to be. It's the only way God's going to love us. Even though they tell us over and over, God loves us even though we're sinners, but we have to be this person. And
Mhm.
that's where we learn how to take the abuse, where it's like,
Mhm.
I love you and I will love you no matter what, but I love you, but you need to be this.
Yes. Mhm.
And you're
I
like,
will love you no
okay,
matter what as long as you do this.
right. The conditional love. And that's where we
Yes.
were taught the conditional love of, okay,
Mhm.
well, I'll be this person because I want you to love me, and I love you. So I'm going to pretend to be this person, or I'm going to say the right things, and I'm going to do what you
Mhm.
say. And you do it all into, no, but I love them. And, oh, this is just compromise. But it's
Yes.
not
Oh, yes, you're all.
compromise.
Yep. Mhm. Not at all. Nope. When you have to give away a part of yourself, when you have to minimize a part of yourself, when you have to hide who you are in order to be accepted by someone or by a group, that is not okay. That is not healthy. That is not compromise.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
where as a woman, that's what I was taught.
Mhm.
If I was going to be loved, if I was going to be a woman of God, if I was going to be a woman of value for God
Of
and the
value.
church,
Yes.
if I was going to be a woman
Yes.
of value, I had to pretend to be above it all. I had to pretend. And
Mhm.
it's just this
You had to
whole
have it all
thing.
together. You had to,
Yes.
yeah.
Don't
You
fall
had to act a
apart.
certain way.
Don't fall
Yeah.
apart.
Oh no, yeah, no, no. You had to be strong. You had to be very strong in front of everybody. No one could know that you have moments. No one depression. The idea of having depression and people knowing about that, which also goes to the whole burden thing, right? People, if not being able to tell people about that because you feel like you become a burden. Yeah, that's where all that comes from. All that stuff, that all ties together in here. You learn to be this way, and you can't be this other way because that means you're not worthy, you're not valuable, you're bad, you're evil, sinner. You don't have your stuff together, so you fake it.
Um,
Your
right.
life becomes just total fake. And the longer and sometimes some people are able to compartmentalize. I can compartmentalize. Um, and so because the only way to avoid that constant thrashing of your emotions and of your mind and trying to reconcile what you're doing, that you're living two different lives, is to cut it off and just compartmentalize. And so you learn to do that, and then that kind of permeates other areas of your life, and it has negative long term effects. The things that you're taught to do, that you learn to survive, become they start out as survival techniques to make it to, because you can't leave the church because of your family. You end up it starts as survival and ends up becoming your personality, right? Yeah, it ends up becoming because you don't know anything different, and you're not
Mhm.
surviving anymore, but you kind of feel like you still are.
It
In a
becomes
way, you
second
still are.
nature.
You're
It
still
becomes
acting that
second
way.
nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, Kagome said I had depression.
yeah.
Kagome, I suffer from clinical depression. My brain chemicals just don't, my hormones and my brain chemicals just like to be fucked up. And, that is just something that I deal with. And, it can come on. I can literally be having a great day one day and my brain just goes, fuck you, and go on the next. But I still have it lifelong term. It is a
Yes.
struggle. And
Yeah.
um I go through like bouts, and I learned disassociation with that. I learned how, especially, and we were talking about compartmentalizing. I didn't compartmentalize because I'm not just it's hard for me to do that. But what I learned
Mhm.
was how to disassociate from that. And like, for example, when the pastor is preaching something, because I have on the list sexuality and fornication, when they're
Mhm.
preaching, you learn
Mhm.
over time to not react. And no matter
Mhm.
what you are feeling on the inside, you learn to have a certain response
Mask.
on your face and that mask.
Mhm.
And you learn how to project an image and a persona of yourself opposite of whatever it is you're thinking or you're feeling. And I still to this day do that. And that is just something that is still a struggle for me to be very authentic with how what I'm going through and how I'm feeling. Like, luckily, luckily on BSBN, like here, like John and Sean and GBB, like they can sort of see it on my face. They've gotten to know me well enough that even they know when I'm projecting, because they literally will text me in the middle of a stream going, "What's wrong? Like what's going on?" I'm like, "Ooh," like, and that actually scares me, because that means I have to be authentic and real and honest, and that is something that I was trained that is a bad thing, and that is still very hard for me to come to terms with, that putting on the
Mhm.
veneer and acting like I'm fine and that my depression is not getting to me, or I didn't have a really bad day, or all of these things is not okay. Like, pretending to be okay is not okay. You have to
Mhm.
be, yes, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna sit in bed and, like, wallow in it, but at the same time, I have to be able to verbalize and be real, and that is something that I wasn't allowed to be in the church. You weren't allowed. They were talking about being how gay was, like, a major sin, and I'm sitting here as a bisexual, girl, not really understanding that, just going, "You're right." Like, you learn to lie. You learn to lie
Mhm.
and fake it. You learn to fake
Yes.
it. You learn to project and disassociate from whatever it is. You learn to sever that connection between what you're expressing versus what you are feeling. And that is very dangerous. And has
Mhm.
long-term effects. Like, it really does. So, Kagome, I feel you. Like, trust me.
And when you can't, when you have depression, you can't just tell someone in your church, you can't just tell an adult, "Hey, I got depression." Oh, well, you just need to pray about it. You just need to this. You need to read your Bible more. You just need to God will take care. You're given all these platitudes. You're given fake. That's what you're given.
You're given plastic positivity.
You are
Mm.
plastic positivity. There's a great video about that on your channel. If no one has
I
seen
did
it,
an entire
it's
hour-long video
terrific.
on plastic positivity. That was the one where I got really sassy. I got sassy on that one. I have
Ooh,
actually have
you did.
outtakes.
You did.
Because
It
it
was
really just
great.
does piss me off. It's the
Mhm.
the plasticity of it all, of
The
of what we
fakeness.
were
Yes.
taught in church.
Mhm.
And yeah,
It's the thoughts and prayers. That's what it is. It's thoughts and prayers.
thoughts and
Oh,
prayers.
you're not doing well. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Something bad happened to
That
you.
one,
Thoughts and prayers.
Kagome. That one. Oh,
Oh yes. That idea is used in a lot of areas. It's always that you are not allowed to feel this way because, and you address that in your video. That's a major part of your video.
I do
Is
actually,
that whole
I
idea?
do, because that and really, I'm not going to get into that because I literally did, and that was like a year
Please go
ago. That
watch the
was
video if you haven't seen it.
it was a long time ago, but the sentiment
Yeah.
is still the same. But yes, I
Mhm.
do talk about that. What do you have to feel sad about? Ooh, I go on a long tangent about that on my so
Yes.
if you want to, it's over there. It's on my Nerd Mom
Yeah.
Ace
But that
YouTube channel.
Kagome, that is absolutely right.
Absolutely
It's
something they tell you. Yeah.
instead of allowing you to feel your feelings and recognize that what you're feeling right now is you're feeling really bad for whatever reason, whether it's depression or just something bad happened in your life. Oh
Mhm.
no, you can't feel bad. Why do you feel bad? You don't have to feel. But think of it. Look at all of what God gave
All the
you.
blessings in your life. Look at all the blessings you have.
Blessings. You have your health. You have your, and then when
And
all
then
of that fails,
they start
yes, and they start
listing.
listening. Yes, and then when all else fails, they whip out Job.
Fucking Job. Fuck Job.
Job.
Fuck Job. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so tired of Job. The Southern
Yes.
Baptist patron saint of the Southern Baptist. Like, it's
Of
Job.
despair and yes, yeah. Well, if Job could still praise God, then obviously you can. You don't have it as bad as Job, so you shouldn't feel bad. You're going.
Job, the patron saint of Southern Baptists, because they use him
Oh my god.
all the
All the
time. He
time.
lost. Oh, and that one, and
Yes.
what was the guy with the Lot? Lot with Lot's wife. Like
Lot.
they like
Now
using Lot's and his
that
daughter.
story is completely twisted.
Yeah, it's
That
really twisted if you
the
go back and
Bible
reread it. Yeah.
yeah, the current Bible version, what most people know is like what we've done to Grimm's fairy tales. You know how we made Grimm's fairy tales all nice and pleasant, but the reality is not. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, that's a whole nother one.
But that's a big one that they push on women in the church is Lot's
Yeah.
wife, is don't be Lot's wife. Don't turn around
Yes.
and let, like, oh, it's a whole thing. Anyway, I won't get into
It's a whole
that.
yeah.
um
But no, you're absolutely right. It's all about why aren't you more like this person? Why aren't you more like this person? They're strong. Why don't you be like them? It's like, first of all, they're probably not as strong as you think they are. They have everyone has their own problems. And they don't by telling you these things, they don't allow you to be who you are. They tell you it's bad to be who you are because they keep emphasizing, well, you're strong. Yeah, but I have moments. We've talked about that. Just
mhm,
because I'm strong a lot of times doesn't mean I don't have moments. Right.
mhm.
Not and you
Pretending
shouldn't
not
have
to be broken, pretending not to
yeah.
be
Hmm.
um and I know
Hmm.
yeah, Kagome, yeah, that
Kagome, you
yeah.
are hitting hard tonight today.
Yeah, you on that one. But I that was pretending that, and that's a big one Sean and I still very much deal with, and not and just Sean being out of the church a little later than I am. I've been
A
out a
little
little
bit.
longer. And even still we still struggle with this same type of thing, no matter even
Hmm.
after I've been out way of the church way longer than he has, is the
Hmm.
struggle to not look broken. The struggle to not talk
Oh,
about our bad
yes.
things, the struggle to
Mhm.
not and how being broken and having bad days and being just like Kagome said, you must have done something wrong to be that way. So you instantaneously are trained to think of yourself as that if you are struggling, if you mess
Mhm.
up, if you make mistakes, if you are dealing with something and you're not instantaneously strong and overcoming it and happy and like that you're broken and that
Mhm.
there's something wrong with you, which makes you then feel like you're unworthy of good things and
Yes.
unloved, and then you start making
Mhm.
choices for that, which perpetuates a cycle of bad choices because you feel a certain way, all of this,
Mhm.
all of these bad choices and bad cycles and this unhealthy emotional coping, for me, binging and purging, self-harm, like bad sexual choices, like all of these things that I was choosing to do to because I didn't feel like I was lovable and I was
Mhm.
broken, but I was
Or
also
mhm.
pretending to be okay.
You start to find comfort in those things because they're familiar to you. So those bad choices beget bad choices. Yeah.
And being broken isn't a good thing. Even though you're supposed to, when you're broken and struggling, you're supposed to find comfort in God. But then God is thrown back in your face saying,
Mhm.
we're supposed to find comfort in God and God's love. But God is, then you're sitting here telling me that I feel this way. So God doesn't love me. I feel this way because I'm not good enough for God. And it's that whole cognitive dissonance of things aren't lining up. And then you
Mhm.
learn, and your body is just, and your mind accepts that you're not worthy of love. And when good things
Yes.
happen to you, you don't believe them because that means
Mhm.
that like you learn to not believe the good things that happen in your life, and you just been like, and then you
Mhm.
self-sabotage because that
Yes.
can't be right.
Yes. If something bad happened, it's cuz you did something wrong. You sinned. You have sin in your life. So that's why this thing happened. This bad thing happened. But then anytime anything good happens, well, that's God. It's not really you. You didn't really do it. God did it through you. So you can't take responsibility. You can't own that and go, "I did something amazing. I did something fantastic." No, no, that was God. You're just a vessel. So you can't own that. But you can sure own the bad stuff that apparently you supposedly did.
Mhm.
Like what the it, whew.
If you can't
Yeah.
tell, this one's a it's a
Hot
little
topic. It's hot
it's a
take.
little hot topic for both John and I. Like usually it's one or the other, usually, but no, this is one for both of us. Like
Yeah.
we were.
I I grew up. I didn't deal with a lot of the stuff that you dealt with. I dealt with very different stuff as growing up as a young man in Southern Baptist Church. The stuff that I grew up with was the toxic masculinity and codependence.
Oh, do tell.
I grew up with well the man is responsible for the home. The man is responsible for the family. The man leads, and so it's all it's my fault. Like I have to fix everything. I have to deal with everything. I have to make sure if something goes wrong, it's a reflection upon me. It's my fault. I need to fix that, right? Because no, I can't have anyone seeing looking and saying, oh, you don't know how to. The big one that came up in church was how can you be expected to lead the church if you cannot lead your family? That was the big one in my church that came up all the time, which is why my dad was so very hard on, no, you don't make you have to fall in line, because if I made him look bad, then, well, people lose confidence in him as a leader, which is complete BS. Because that, again, that's the whole, well, you're perfect,
Well, and
and
that's
creates.
complete BS because then you are approaching and looking at your wife and your family as
Hmm.
someone to
You're
Control
looking at
as
it's
someone
damage
that.
control. Your life becomes damage control.
Well, your life doesn't just become damage control. Your life doesn't become, it doesn't become a partnership. It doesn't become a
Mm-mm.
relationship.
Nope.
It becomes a work situation. You have a
Yes.
boss and you're an employee and you work and everybody reports to the husband, and it doesn't
Yep.
become
Yep.
a equal
Well,
partnership.
everyone doesn't report to the husband. The wife reports to the husband. The kids report to the wife because the kids are the wife's responsibility, not his. So it goes up that way. Yeah,
Right.
and that's
But
why
it
we
just,
often talk about. No, go ahead.
no, they often talk about what?
That's what we often we talk. We go in and out of talking about church and family
Hmm.
because they're often so blended. When you're Southern Baptist, those are typically hand in hand. You're taught the church and the family the family is a symbol of the church, is an extension of the church, right? So the way Christ led the church, that's what the husband leads the family. That's why they're so married together, right? That's why we're constantly weaving in and out of church versus church and family. Sorry, I
That
triggered
one.
you, didn't I?
That one. That one. Oh.
As Christ led the church.
Yeah. Christ led the church.
God.
Yeah. Hey, let's think about this. As Christ led the church, so he died, then rose to heaven 3 days later. So basically, he left the church to fend for themselves. He is a neglectful father.
He's a deadbeat dad. Is that what
He's a deadbeat dad.
Oh my God.
Jesus went out for a pack of smokes and never
Smokes.
came
Oh
back.
my God. Oh my Lord. Oh, Heavenly Father, I want to apologize right now.
No, I apologize for Jack.
Oh my God. I mean,
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell
no,
me I'm
yeah,
wrong.
I'm not. I can't. I can't. I'm trying.
Mhm,
I can't. I can't. I
mhm,
mean,
mhm.
yeah, the similarities are there. They're pretty close.
But no, that's exactly right. And it bred that non went to dinner with friends and ended up in jail.
I mean, who has that not happened to, right? He did. You're right. He went to dinner with friends and man, he did.
You know what though?
Snitches
Okay,
get stitches.
let's take this a little further, because while I'm on my he went out to dinner, ended up in jail.
Mhm.
But notice he went out to the park later. Mm, he went out to the park by himself.
He did. Him and his 12 friends, his 12 male friends, went to the park. I'm just
Oh
gonna
my
throw
god.
that out there.
Was Mary Magdalene his hag? Okay, enough,
No.
enough. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna stop there because I
We're
had
gonna
one
st-
queued up that I'm just
Yeah,
no.
don't do it.
You
Don't do
gotta
it.
stop.
Okay, we've got. Okay, I know when I'm towing the line for the internet. Okay, I know.
Whew. Mm,
But
wow.
yeah.
You could okay, but you could never be. I never felt you could be like irreverent or joking. Like you couldn't make jokes about stuff, and you couldn't point out the like this doesn't make any sense. No, it has to. God's bigger than you, and you gotta yeah. Like you can't have fun with it.
That's what we do
We
here
may
at
have crossed the line
BSBN.
here.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's what we
Hey,
do.
hey. My cup says I don't give a slither shit. Nah, that's where we're at today.
Never mind. Nope. I'm gonna stop.
Sean, you are the king of going way too far, even for me, and that's far. So we're gonna stop
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
Arug's like said, Arug's, we go up to the line. Arug's like, okay, here's the line. You guys see it? You guys see it? Okay, here's the line. Good. Okay. All right. And then she turns away, and I'm like sprinting across it.
That's how he
So where'd
games
you
too.
go?
That's how he games. Like he's like, "Where are you?" I was like, "I don't know, doing the mission." Oh,
Oh, I was doing side
um,
quest. So,
So, you brought up something. I'm gonna bring it back. I don't know if you remember. Before we started streaming, you said talking about faking it made you really think about your relationships in high school and in middle school.
hmm hmm
I actually am very curious about that because you didn't tell me, you didn't give me any details. So I'm sort of curious about what you meant by that.
um, so well, there were other. I kind of got to one point and then I rabbit trailed into other points, but the main one that I got to that related to this topic is that I was brought up as a good Christian boy, always in the church, always doing the right thing, always seeking mom's approval,
Hmm.
um, always trying to earn my family's love, and but I was also a teenage hormonal boy, and
Hmm.
so I have this. This is how I'm supposed to live, but this is not how I'm supposed to live. This is what I want to do. This is the urges that I have, the desires that I have. I want to I want to go out and be normal. I want to go out and I want to date and I want to go to parties and hang out with friends and do these things
Hmm.
normal teenagers do. But I was also supposed to be the good Christian boy. So it was so when I started dating, seriously dating, and then started fornicating. I love throwing it out there. Just I started fornicating because it's such an awkward word to describe it. And she's out. Oh my god. Fornicating. Come back, Riggs. So when I started hooking up, I taught, I was part of the purity culture, so I'd been taught all the purity stuff. Don't do anything, nothing, right? You got to be.
Hmm.
But I also wanted to do stuff. I also had urges, I had hormones, and so I know when I finally right when I finally gave into those, then it was a matter of I was having to fake my life versus what I was in church. And remember, I was in church all the time. So it wasn't just like Sunday mornings for an hour I had to fake it. No, it was pretty much my entire life because when I wasn't in church, I was at youth activities. I was hanging out with the youth pastor and their family, the pastor and his family because they all lived in the same area. So I was always surrounded by so it became pretty much just faking my entire life and faking that, I I'm an I didn't feel normal. I felt broken. I felt guilty and I felt shameful because I wanted to do stuff and I shouldn't. And so it was constantly trying to pretend that I wasn't really who I was. Instead of being able to be honest and go, "Hey, this is who I am and what I'm doing," and having an honest conversation with my family, with my parents about what's healthy and what's not healthy, and like the whole birds and the bees, the whole sexual conversation of I would they threw purity at me. So as soon as I was no longer pure, I was hanging out there because I was and faking it because oh my god, if I had told them what I was doing,
What were you doing?
I was hooking up with my girlfriend. I'd go, yeah, oh yeah, very very much so, very yeah. That relationship was very sexually driven because I didn't really date till like my junior year of high school. You asked. I was keeping it very generic, and you asked.
I'm
So
over here trying to like I knew you, but like not in high school,
we,
but I knew you like in your 20s,
so,
and
yeah,
I've seen the pictures of you from high school. I'm trying to
we used
imagine.
to go driving. We used to go parking. We go parking in like
And Sean
construction
was down in the
areas.
nasty. Ooh.
Right, I was. Mm-hmm.
I'm just imagining a nerdier version of you.
A
I just,
nerdier version of me. Yeah,
did,
you're enjoying this one way too much.
did you have a plan? Was it written out on a notebook paper with like
I wouldn't say that far, but there were definitely expectations.
I can't. I can't function. Anyway,
Hmm.
sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it was just a matter of lying. Life became just a long series of lies about my life, what I liked, what I didn't like. I wasn't allowed to like secular, love that word, secular
That is a
movies,
great
TV
word, isn't it?
shows, music. Yeah. Well, it's because that's the word that was thrown around. Like all of that, no, I had to listen to Christian music. I had to watch Touched by an Angel. It's a TV show.
Oh,
and
oh my
and Murder She Wrote because my mom loved Murder She Wrote. Um, yeah. Hmm. Um, and movies was it was Christian movies. So I had to. Yeah. Here's how bad it got. I
God. Mhm.
couldn't get my own music because for our younger audience, this is before streaming music. This is the days of Columbia House. And if you don't know what Columbia House is, you need to look it up. So this is days of the Columbia House and the CDs. Don't look it up. And so I couldn't get music the normal ways. I couldn't just go out and buy my music. I went to my cousin. 'Cause my cousin and I used to hang out a lot. I'd go, "Hey, what's the popular music?" It was the equivalent of what are the kids listening to these days?
Is it
I was a
LB?
kid at this point. I was young at this point
Is it
and going,
LB?
"Hey, what are the kids listening to these days?" Yeah, because I couldn't listen to secular music.
I sneaked to read Harry
Mhm.
Potter, got yelled at for adding Paramore and My Chemical Romance to iTunes. Oh my God, Paramore. Oh,
Yeah.
I love Paramore. I
Oh yeah.
love Paramore to this day. I'm not ashamed to admit
Paramore's
that
great.
either. Paramore
Yes.
is great.
Yeah.
And I
So,
was the same, but see, I was the same way. You always
mhm,
had the two CD cases, right? You always had the two CD cases. And this is back when CDs, so
mhm.
you had like the big like plastic
The Case
things.
Logic, I've still got them. Mammoth books of CDs. Yes.
Like, but you had the ones that you, especially because back in the day, driving a car wasn't nearly as expensive as driving a car now as a teen. And that's the way your
Mhm.
parents bought you a car just so they didn't have to like drive you around anymore. So, but
Yeah.
you kept your bad music in your car because they never went
Yes.
in your car
Under the seat. Like a
under
lot
the
of times you
seat.
slid the case under the
Yeah.
seat. Yeah.
And then, but you
Uh-huh.
kept the Christian stuff at home. So at house, like you listened to the
Yes.
Christian stuff, but you're blasting some some Paramore and then like
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally faking it.
I remember I was
Mhm.
able to get away with country music. That was like the country
Mhm.
music.
Yes, I could get away with
Um
country music. Yes. Mhm.
and I was able to. Do you remember Creed's Higher?
Are you asking me if I remember Creed? Do you remember what happened a couple days ago? I started humming Creed. And you were like, "Whoa, what the heck is are you just humming Creed?" Yes, yes, I am humming Creed.
Yes, but let me take you higher. You
Higher.
were
Let me
able
take you
to
higher.
blast that one in the
Cuz I convinced.
house. You could
Mhm.
get away with it because it was Christian. Like you could almost pass it off.
I remember convincing my mother to let me buy that CD because it was Christian music. I remember showing her lyrics, going, "See, it's Christian right there. See, it's Christian." Like I explicitly remember that.
Oh, we learned to lie. Really, yeah. That's
Oh
actually the
yes.
the biggest thing that we were taught in the church
Mhm.
was to lie.
How to
You
lie
learn
well.
to lie
You
and
learn to
lie
twist
well.
words. You learned how to say things a certain way.
Yep.
That does not though that may seem like a good skill, it will come back to bite you. It came back to bite us years later because there gets to a point where you have trouble stopping that. You have
Well,
trouble
and
not behaving that way.
right. And when we say lie, I mean, yes, we lie. We learned how to lie very well in various aspects. But what
Mhm.
we mean by lie is when somebody asks us, a question, especially something about that, that how we feel, or what we what we actually think, or our opinion
Mhm.
on something, our first reaction is not to tell the truth. And I
Mhm.
can speak that very authoritatively for myself, and I am assuming for Sean, because I've known him so long, it's pretty much the same.
Mhm.
When somebody asks us our opinion or our thoughts or our
Mhm.
feelings on something, our initial reaction in our brain is not to tell them the truth. Our
Mhm.
initial reaction, even if it's just a split second, is to tell
Mhm.
them, it's great. I'm fine. It's wonderful. It looks good. And find
Mhm.
all the positive, happy things, even though we
Mhm.
may feel or think differently, or we are afraid to give our opinions, or like whatever. When we say we learn to lie, that is exactly where the main point is that we were taught to lie. And when I
Yeah.
like, and I was taught as a female, I wasn't allowed to tell the truth. Like, I had to be the happy, supportive, positive, woman of God. Like, I wasn't allowed to be disparaging or discouraging or whatever. And that's usually when you had an opposing opinion to anyone, you were disparaging, you were discouraging, you were
Mhm.
being disagreeable. And so usually my first reaction, and what I've had to learn how to do, instead of lying to someone, what I do is I say, do you really want the truth, or do you want me to lie? Do you want me to make you feel better? Because those are very
Mhm.
honest statements. And then I am not choosing to lie, because sometimes they want to ask your opinion, but they're like, I just want to feel better. Maybe I just,
Mhm.
but the truth might be good or bad, but that I'm giving that person a choice, so that I am actually giving myself a moment to stop, and giving my brain going, do you want to hear the truth and my truth, or do you want me to make you feel better? That way my training, because it doesn't go away. That doesn't go away,
Mm-mm.
especially when you were
Nope.
taught that from, and literally beaten a lot of times. I mean, let's just say, like, Sean and I were, we corporal punishment was a
Mhm.
thing in our
Oh, yeah.
households.
Absolutely.
So literally beaten into us that we were going to lie. And so
Yeah.
it's giving my body and my brain a moment to go, regardless of what the truth is, do you want to hear it, or do you want to feel better? Because my brain is both wanting to do both things. And I
Mhm.
give the person that opportunity, because,
You had mhm.
right, because you were
You
told to
had
lie.
to
You had to
yeah.
lie. You had
Yeah.
to make them feel
You had to
better.
you had to lie to survive. Yeah, and you had to lie to fit in. You had that didn't come naturally to you. Like, what you're just describing, that's not something that you've done for a long time.
Mm,
You had to learn how to temper that, how to become that, right?
yes.
Because you used to go, you know what? I don't care what you want. You're gonna get slapped with truth, whether you like it or not.
Mhm. I was
Yeah.
very much like
So.
that when I left the church. I was
Mhm.
very, very hurtful, in that I was going to tell you the
Yeah.
truth, and I was going to be, because I got tired of lying. I got tired of that.
Mhm.
So I overcompensated
You.
with, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care how you think about it. And then I had to learn and grow into that. Um,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
really train myself, because then when I got older, I was like, oh, I'm being a complete bitch. So now I'm going back to it. I swung both ways. I went back to, oh, it's
Yeah.
wonderful. Oh, that's a good idea. When in my head, I'm going, that's terrible. And that is a stupid idea. And I had to learn how to be honest and
Mhm.
empathetic, and be honest without being hurtful and hateful, because I was
Mhm.
told to lie and be agreeable. Lie and be
Yes.
agreeable. And so I thought I
Mhm.
equated lying and being agreeable with being honest and hateful and hurtful. And then I had
Mhm.
to then, years of therapy and, work on myself to find that happy medium of, and that
Yeah.
real place of, you can be honest without being hurtful. and you don't have to lie, and it's not lying if somebody just wants to feel better. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
nothing is ever black and
You
white.
because you yeah, you started actually listening to them and asking them what they wanted.
Mhm.
And it is okay. Sometimes you just want to feel better. Sometimes you need a little salve. You don't need someone to rip the band-aid off. You need a little salve on it. And so you give them the opportunity to say which one they want.
Right.
And you don't shame them if they would just want that. You give them the opportunity to, which is a really powerful thing.
It is.
Um, for me, it was more deception and evasiveness. For me, it was saying a lot and saying little at the same time.
Oh, that annoys me when you do that. Oh my god, it annoys me
Yeah, I know.
so
I still do
much.
it. I still do. I'm trying. I try really hard not to. But I would talk and not actually give any information.
Mhm.
For me, when someone asks my opinion or I would in a split second ascertain what I believe to be what they're looking for, what they want, what their opinion is, and then
Mhm.
I would just parrot it back to them, or just be evasive. And a lot of times they would accept it because it would sound like I was being honest, and answering the question when in reality I wasn't.
Mhm.
That especially happens with my emotions. That especially happens when it comes to my wants, my needs, my emotions, right? Yeah, Aru's sitting here going, "Uh-huh. Really? You know, you don't say." Yeah. Mhm.
What? I had no
Exactly.
idea. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
learned to
gosh.
yeah, things are good. I'm fine. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, things are great. I'm good. Mhm. And I'd carry along. I wouldn't, and I'd keep
No, my
people.
worst is when you ask his opinion about something, or
Mhm.
like, what do you want to do? Or what's your opinion on
Yeah.
this? And he'll talk in circles and say nothing.
Kevin is right.
Sean is
Yes,
the person.
I do, and I've done that a lot. I tell you this. I tell you that to tell you this
And I'm like,
backstory. See, for me, it was backstory. It was I would talk a lot, and then at the end, you're going, "Wait, what was the question again? What were we talking about?"
look at the glitter, look
Yeah.
at the glitter, look at the glitter, look at the glitter.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about you. I would turn things around when, oh, you don't want to know anything about me. I'm just going to turn that around. Look
Right,
at you.
he would turn it around on me, and I'm like, no." And my favorite
Mhm.
is when, like, we're talking, like, we're discussing the show or whatever, and he'll be saying something, and I go, "That's so yeah, that sounds all really great, but you just told me all of the things that you think about this. You never at once answered my question about how you feel about this." And he hates that. He hates the fact that he's
Do
just like, he's talked for
God, I
5
do.
minutes. He's talked for 5
Yes.
minutes, and I go, "Okay, so how do you feel about it? Because you never answered my question."
I hate when she does that. Mm. This is what it's like to be friends with the Roogs. Hmm.
Yay!
I tell her a lot of times. I tell her this is what I get for being friends with someone who's highly intelligent and highly perceptive. It's my fault because
The
you know.
intelligence is natural, the
Hmm.
perception is trauma. So, I get the
Yeah.
best of both worlds. What do you want from me?
Hmm.
Feeling,
Yeah.
what are
You do
the
not.
feelings? What are those? I know, those are those little things.
Ooh,
You get
yeah. Hmm. I'm especially good about when someone asks about feelings. I don't answer. I don't answer what do I think or feel. I answer what I do, or I don't answer what I feel. I answer what I think.
anyway.
Yeah.
So, in
Hmm.
conclusion,
It is about that time, isn't
um,
it?
yeah, it is about that time. Basically, this is something that we, again, we're trying to move into waking up with PepPep, and things that we are still dealing with. We discuss a lot of things that we dealt with and that we've come to grips with, but this is something that most certainly is something we struggle with on a daily. With the being authentic, being authentically ourselves, being authentic in our thoughts, being authentic in our feelings, and just being honest about those, because we were absolutely trained and raised and still acted upon the faking it till you make it, the pretending like everything's okay. We, in our core being, I know for me, and I know that Sean's talked about it with me, so that's why I can say this with a little bit of authority for both of us. In our core being, thought that that is how you were supposed to be a good person. You were supposed to be put together, and that's how you exuded strength. That's how you were strong. That's how
Yes.
you were a good person. Is you, no matter what was going on, nothing bothered you, nothing made
You
you
just dealt with it.
angry, nothing upset with you. You projected that whatever it was, and you didn't
Mhm.
feel that. You, or if you were feeling it, you pretended he didn't feel it. He compartmentalized and doesn't feel it. I project. So those are two different coping mechanisms to the
Mhm.
same trauma. And
Mhm.
so that's the big difference between the two of us, is that he's like, he feels like he feels it and then puts it away in a little box. I feel it, but I've learned how to mask it. And so
Mhm.
that's the two difference between us, and we were just taught
Yep.
that that's how you did. That's how we, it's the same, the result is the same. Be perfect, be a
Mhm.
good Christian, be a good woman, be a good man, be this person, and follow
Be
these
this idea.
guidelines. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something we still struggle with. And
Mhm.
that is something that I think, thankfully, with me being, honestly, to be honest, BSBN, the BSBN crew has probably been the best thing for me in that aspect, because Miko and John will be the first person to call me out on my shit. They will be the first person to go, stop it. And I'll be like, what? They're
Your
like, you
trauma
seem to be,
showing.
your trauma showing.
Mhm.
Like, Miko will be the first person to call me out on that shit. And I appreciate that. They're like, and I really do. And I'm very grateful for that, because they are wanting to help me learn to love the mess that I really am, and that I can be loved for the mess that I am. And I think that was the best thing that really happened to me, is being a part of this group, of this support system. And so
Mhm.
I'm very thankful for that, because I don't know where I'd be right now.
I I feel exactly the same way, because I did not have one of the major repercussions of faking it for so long is you're not real with anybody, and people, whether they realize it or not, they know it. And so you end up not being close to anyone. And then you start to feel isolated. And so I can tell you, especially after with my separation and divorce, isolation is a huge problem, is a huge thing to deal with. And so you take that with my faking it for so long, and it had the potential to be very crippling. I mean, it was very crippling. Um, Fortunately, Arugs and I rebooted. We called up after many years, and then she introduced me to John. Hey, have you met John?
I'm a
And
great
then we,
wingman.
yeah, she is. And that's how I came to meet the rest of the BSBN, and it has been amazing. I'm still fighting the faking it. I still absolutely am, but I'm learning to do that less. I'm learning to pull that back and to be authentic. So
Yay. Okay. And see, this is why Shep couldn't rate over, because like our topics have a tendency to go a little
we
long.
stop
So
when we stop.
we do. We stop when we stop. When we're through. But
We're talkers,
um
but yeah,
we are just a little bit, just a little bit. So with that, thank you so much for being here and joining us on this Sunday afternoon. And join our Discord. We have our Nerd Mom Ace channel on our BSBN Discord. Will the real please
oh,
stand up? Please stand up.
Oh my God.
um,
Wow. Thanks,
Join our
Gavina.
Discord. We have all the BSBN there. The Nerd Mom Ace channel is on there. We have our Waking Up with Nana and PepPep channel and the Arug's Happy Hour. If you have something you want to talk about, or if there's something that interests you or something you want our opinion on, please go to that Discord. Let us know. That's the way you're gonna communicate with us, and it's awesome. Tonight, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, it is BSBN Gaming. So follow, and subscribe to all of our channels. You can follow everyone. If you can't subscribe to all of us, then subscribe to I tell everybody, subscribe once a month and rotate. That's how you support us. That's how you stay involved. And we love you for it. And that's how we make new content, like Shep's new channel.
Yes, Shep's
that's
channel.
How we are. Shep's stories. That's awesome. He had his first thing last night, and I'm very excited about it. And I love him. I love Shep. So that's how we do new content.
To Shep talk for an hour.
Right. That is how we get new content, is if you like and subscribe and you support our channel, share our stuff. Like if something you like, and if this is not your cup of tea, I'm sure Miko is, or Nev, or there's something for literally everyone. And so that's what I love about the Blue Skirt Boy Network. That's what I love about our group of people that we have. And we're always growing and we're always evolving, and it's awesome. We're always adding new content all the time. So after the Blue Skirt Boy Gaming, we have Zarknor After Dark, and that is at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. I love his streams. His streams are so great. He's really funny in that not wacky kind of way. Like he's the very funny in the what did you
that
just
subtle dry right, that subtle dry humor.
He's playing and you're like, wait, what?
Wait, did he just
I love him. I love Neb. He's just great. So he's our resident elder being. So is this week Miko? I don't know. Hold on, I gotta pull my calendar.
Oh.
Because I'm prepared.
Ask Auntie and Unc.
Yeah, is that this week? Because they do every other week.
I think it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, this week. Okay. That's what I have. Okay, so
you're gonna start your BSBN.
Yes. So Monday is our heavy hitter day. Tomorrow, it is our big lineup of content. Do you want to talk about content that varies across all the board? So at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, we have Auntie and Unc with our wonderful Miko, and I don't have what they're talking about on here. So they love to have discussions, real life discussions about trauma, about, mental health, or just social situations in general, and just real talk about it. And they're just like Sean and I, they're two best friends, and they just, banter off each other, and it's great. It's a great watch, and it's real hard hitting. Like they'll hit you with the truth and you're like, I don't want to like that. I want to like the pain, but I do. But
I know.
Then right after that, we raid over into Don Darrow's channel for D101 with myself and Don Darrow, where we cause the trauma, and we're the reason policies are made, because we do fuck shit. Like, it's fine. We're like, hey guys, let's see what happens. That's Don Darrowing 101. And then right after that, we raid back over here into Nerd Mom Ace for Sean, Shep, and John and myself, as we do a Rug's Happy Hour, as we cope with our trauma by drinking a lot and talking, hanging out at the bar. So that's virtual bar. That's like the virtual
drink therapy.
It's drink therapy. And then new is we're going to end a Rug's Happy Hour and then raid right over into Shep's stories. Mondays are Shep's bedtime stories, and he is going to be reading a chapter a week. On Monday nights of, I think it's Alice in Wonderland, and I'm very excited about this. I love Alice in Wonderland. So he's going to start reading that immediately. So you get drunk, you get your nice little drink on, and then you can cuddle into bed and let Shep lull you to sleep. And so, yes, and that is at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, and that's on Shep's Stories. So Sean, do you have anything left to say for our wonderful audience before we go? Story time. Yes, Kagome, story time.
Yeah, story time.
Nev is funny in an
Hey.
English way. You're right.
Ooh, that
He
wow,
is.
yes. Didn't
Oh.
think about that. He
Mhm.
is. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us today. For letting us talk about our trauma and sharing with us your what you go through. So it is awesome. We love. I look forward to this time every single week. So thanks for being here.
All right. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.